Hello everyone and welcome to another video on my channel. I tend to disappear for very lengthy periods of time, primarily because I have a lot of responsibilities outside of YouTube, but I would like to make this hobby a bit more frequent. I'd like to do this a bit more often. In fact, I wouldn't mind doing this on a daily basis if I could. I would so love to do that, and perhaps I should work my butt off so that I can. However, anyway, today we're looking at DK Oldies. Now, for those of you who don't know DK Oldies, they're a retro gaming site, which I'm sure that everybody under the sun at this point in time should know who they are. Effectively, what they do is they are on TikTok and YouTube. The first time I came across them was on the YouTube Shorts feed, where they would basically package up customers' products and then ship them out. I was always impressed by those shorts, though. For example, if games had a bad cover, they would change them out for a nice, new, fresh-looking one. And if the discs were badly damaged, they would basically refurbish them. So I always was impressed by that. However, when I visited their website, their prices were far too steep for my liking. I've always stayed clear of them. I've never bought anything, primarily because I am here in South Africa and I can buy most of what they sell for a fraction, or rather, a probably less than 10% of what they're charging for full price here. So in this case, for example, Silent Hill Origins, the PS2 game, I've clicked on the game case and cover art version because that's the one that I was able to purchase. Over here, they've got it for $176.99. I paid $3 for mine, although the disc was severely damaged. I do have polishes and certain materials and tools that I use to refurbish them by hand. So I guess $3, and if I were to put in my labor and other stuff into it, I'd say like about another $5 worth of work. So I spent $8 for basically what is now a polished version of this game. Obviously, that is like very different from 176. Basically, there's like 168 or $9 price difference. That's a lot of money. Now, obviously, when it comes down to these kinds of websites, retro gaming, the pure thing about it is nostalgia. Now, a lot of the times, when you go back to nostalgia, you think about things when you were a kid, when things were somewhat better, when you were happier. And you try to really relive those experiences. For many people, those can mean different things. For example, let me just reach out on my shelf. Need for Speed Most Wanted, best Need for Speed game ever made. This particular one that I pull out of my shelf right now is not complete in box. I do have the greatest hits one, I think. If it's greatest hits, let me just grab that quickly. Oh crap. The classics version, so I've got the normal one and the classic one. The classic one is complete in box. This I paid $3 for it. This is the normal one. I paid about $6 for it. And it's not complete in box. So if I were to go and look at Need for Speed Most Wanted, well, let's just look at Most Wanted actually to see what we get out of this, and we can obviously take it from there. Most Wanted for the Xbox 360, it's $83. Game case and cover art, that's the one that I've got. So that's $82.99. That is absolutely insane. There's a game shop that I knew that had this up until 2022. You could purchase a sealed copy of the classics version, this particular one. You could purchase a sealed, brand new, unopened one for $30. Obviously, those sold out very quickly. By the time I got there, all 6 that they had in stock were purchased up by one person. Well done. Anyway, moving on. Near. This particular game, I've spent like $3 on it. $50. It's like divided. Roughly $3. It's like $2 and some change. When I'm doing the conversion ratio from South African rands to dollars, it's different. This game, I've spent $1 on it. Mind you, though, I purchased this in 2010. And at the time, I was not a video game collector. Obviously, though, $1 in 2010, maybe it's now worth $53. 1 to 53. Inflation's really bad. Wow. In 10 years or 13 years, can inflation really hit us that hard? No, it can't be. And then this, my friends, is the one that pisses me off the most. These AV to HDMI converters. You can buy them for like $3 to $5 on most online stores. This exact product comes from China, well, like many things. But in this case, it's sold for 25 bucks. You can actually go online and buy this with shipping for a lot less. You'll obviously have to wait a couple of months. It may or may never arrive, although you will get a refund. However, if you think about it, that's a lot. You could buy roughly a minimum of 4 of these for 25 bucks with shipping from AliExpress. And my local game shops actually sell this for around $10, or $9 actually. Yeah, it's about $9. That's after they've bought it from AliExpress, put their markup, and then are reselling it to you. So, prices aside, DK Oldies, we kind of get the gist. They bank off of nostalgia, and effectively, in my opinion, it's a bit of a rip-off. Some games are cheap, or some games are reasonably priced. Most of the hardware that you see on here is not. My advice is to go onto eBay and buy them. However, lately they've been getting quite a bit of flack on YouTube in particular from a lot of different creators, from Review Tech USA.
Hello, everybody. So
To
today,
Kreesky. I already watched this video on my cell phone on a different channel, on a different account. This was with the Nintendo 64 and stuff like that. So basically, everybody that seems to be buying these refurbishing consoles or refurbished consoles, as you can see from the picture over here, it looks pretty bad. Now, as far as I know, when something is refurbished, that usually means that it's as close to mint condition as it possibly could get. In other words, next to a factory sealed or a new unit, a refurbished unit is the next best thing. From what I can see in this picture, that is pretty far off from being refurbished. Now, I can understand that there are probably hundreds, if not thousands, of these consoles coming in a week. And to have the kind of manpower that it would take to strip every single one and renew every single one or refurbish every single one is obviously quite difficult. Perhaps maybe they could do it when the item is purchased. They could have like already refurbished units available, which I assume was supposed to be the case, which is clearly not. Have them available and ensure that before they leave, the appropriate quality checks are done and everything inside is up to scratch. Now, obviously, they put their little sticker on there to say, look, for the warranty purposes, you can't remove it. And if you do find it after 3 months, by then they could easily say, look, it was kept in a very poor environment, dust got in there, maybe you're a smoker and some ash went in there. This is your fault and not DK Oldies. But in these instances, a lot of these YouTubers are taking it straight out of the packaging from shipment. When the item arrives, they're basically doing an unboxing. They're breaking the seal from the shipping. It's not as if though they've already opened the box, went in there, put in some sand and stuff like that. No, no, no. These guys are actually opening the box for the first time in front of most of us on camera, which is where things take a bit of a darker turn. Because to some extent, I can understand if you tampered with the unit or if you swapped it out for something that was in really bad condition. In this case, the box is already open. I'm pretty sure there was one where he actually cut the box open, but I can't seem to find that video. There's quite a number of these videos floating around, so forgive me. I'm going to take their word for it on that one. But clearly, this cannot happen overnight. Now, by the time the warranty expires, obviously, it'd be too late for you to return it. And I suppose the idea and intention behind this is to catch out the people who don't have much knowledge in terms of how to refurbish a unit, or those who aren't really technologically inclined or gaming inclined. Maybe your grandfather or your grandmother bought you something from these guys and sent it off to you, thinking that she'd make your day or he would make your day. Now, to some extent, I suppose that DK Oldies is actually, well, that's primarily their target audience, I would suspect. The people who are not going to open and question and look into things, or people who don't have the skills or the ability or the know-how how to get into there and actually look at what they are supposed to be getting versus what they've actually got. So I guess for every 10 YouTubers that catch these guys out, there's probably 100 customers. I'm being generous, maybe 50 customers that aren't being called or catching these guys out. And it's a sad thing when you look at it, because I know with one of them, if I remember correctly, um, Rich from Review Tech USA had a PlayStation 2, which he opened. And I think a lot of people immediately picked up that the AV port at the back of it was actually broken. I'm going to do my best to see if I can find that
Mr.
clip
Birdnell, it's time to.
and look into it. Now, I can also understand that to some extent, if these guys are saying, you know, they're just simply targeting us or whatever it is, it's just a group of these angry individuals online going about their day. Look at this busted up AV port over here. That thing looks nasty. I don't think an AV port is supposed to even look like that. I've got a busted up PS2 here. It works though, but let's see. This, my friends, is a silver PS2, and as you can see, the port doesn't look anything like that. That one in particular looks like somebody tried to force the cable in or simply tried to break the port on purpose. I don't understand what happened. But you cannot tell us that this is refurbished when it looks like that. Certainly, there's got to be some better quality checks going on at DK Oldies. I suspect that at this point in time, more and more people are going to look into this, and more people are going to find things that they weren't really aware of or weren't really looking at before and start to realize things are a bit sketchier than they appear. Whatever the case is, another thing I wanted to point out was I did some digging into complaints. This is complaints as far back as 2008. I don't know if that's accurate or not. Ripped me off. Never received the number of items that I ordered, and those that I did receive were in terrible shape. I tried to contact the seller many times, but it's a scam. Please can I get a response? Now, this was on Trustpilot. I don't know much about this website. A lot of these reviews I've been taking up from here, and it's very, very strange and bizarre. The years, it goes very far back. The earliest one I could find was in 2008. So you can't say that this is something going on that's like recent. All of these reviews have a lot of different things. Like 2014, ordered several games, two arrived damaged, and one just doesn't work right. Tried to request an exchange and they just ignored me. Reply from DK Oldies. Hi Robin, we receive your emails but about exchange them and have already responded to them with the proper return instructions. If you don't receive them, applies, blah blah blah. Please call us Monday to Friday, 8 to 3. Unacceptable customer service, broken goods. The list goes on and on and on and on. I went to Trustpilot and I found quite a bit of things in there. And it's absolutely insane to see the extent to which this actually goes, how far this rabbit hole goes. My opinion about this is do not buy from individuals like this. You'd rather, to some extent, if you can find a trusted eBay seller, go that route. Or go to your local game shops. Learn about refurbishing, learn about fixing these things, and try to understand it. I've bought many PlayStation 2s. There's about 6 of them behind me. 2 fat ones, 4 slimline ones, and I've got like about 5 broken down ones. But from those 5 broken down ones, I've been able to take out parts and build these other ones that were behind me. I learned that on my own. Sometimes certain things weren't working, I was able to swap it out. Certain components were faulty, whatever it was, like the fan, for example. I learned to swap out the CMOS batteries on my own. Those kind of things. Very basic things that can give you a better product. And I got them pretty cheap as well. Majority of those units behind me would cost me roughly around $30 to $40 complete with cables, a memory card, and controllers. Although I'll admit it was never in the best of condition, I was able to refurbish them with a bit of polish, some of my own materials, dipping them and washing them, stripping it right down to its bare minimum components and cleaning them with a toothbrush and stuff like that. I did some pretty wild things, but it's worth it if you are into this kind of stuff. Part of the fun in having these old retro things is also having them in pristine condition, and I think it's a skill you should pick up. My advice: stay away from DK oldies. They seem a bit shady and dodgier than they let on. What you see on social media isn't always real. What you see on the internet isn't always real. But at the same time, I'm not your father. I'm not the guy who controls your mind. You make your own decisions. I can only advise you, and that is not to use them. That's about it. So yes, I'm gonna leave it there. And oh, one more thing. RGT85. I've also been watching his channel for years. When I watched his video, he didn't appear to buy anything. He actually sold them stuff and got a good amount of money back from that. So to some extent, selling to them seems to be profitable. Buying from them is a bit of a hit at the moment, or rather a miss, sorry, more than a hit. And I suppose As far as hardware goes, I would steer clear of them. Games, some are reasonable price, majority of them are not. Do your best to make game collecting an adventure. Don't just rush off to a single website and find everything you're looking for there. I think you'll be much more happier when you experience the journey, and I suppose the destination is when you play the game. It's a lot more satisfying. So yeah, that's the end of this video, guys. Hope to see you in another one, and I hope to do more frequent videos nowadays. I'm hoping to do one a day, perhaps. See you then. Bye.